I want to talk to you now about regulation when it comes to incorporating a company in Vietnam. And before I start with the different types of business entities, maybe a few words to regulation or laws. So whenever you are here, you may hear different terms like a law, a decree, or a circular. So that's quite standard in Vietnam. There are laws, there are decrees, there are circulars. And I want to give you an example, let you have a quick look at this. That's one changes in the regulation when it comes to the Vietnamese corporate accounting systems. So again, Vietnamese corporate accounting systems for SMEs, for small and medium-sized enterprises. And here is a new circular that replaces earlier circulars or decisions. So it says, this new circular number 133/2016 TTT-PDC replaces decision number 48 of the year 2006 and the circular number 138 of the year 2011. So this is just an example to give you some idea that we are speaking about laws, decrees, circulars, decisions. But your lawyer, in principle, will know all the decisions or circulars that are circulating and that are important for you when it comes to incorporating or doing business in Vietnam. The different entities or the different form of entities that you can consider to incorporate here is maybe the first one is the LLC. It's here, it's the most popular form when it comes to smaller companies. It can even have one owner, one shareholder, or a group of founders. If it's one owner, then a director has to be appointed. Now, if this director is a foreigner, then of course, again, you would need a work permit and a residence card for this director of foreign nationality. Another type of entity is the Vietnam Free Zone Company. This is for special purposes, mainly when it comes to manufacturing, and there are several free zones around in different regions, in different geographies, which can be even favorable in terms of taxes. But the principle a priori is that you are in a free zone because you manufacture and you export. So those Vietnamese free zone companies are mainly for manufacturing in Vietnam, but then exporting overseas. Let me also check if there's anything important to add to this. Yes, maybe one item to add to this is that if you open such a free zone company, then you have to submit a proposal, a business plan to the authorities, and they will review this one, and they will make a decision whether they grant you the license or not. The minimum capital here is much more different than it would be from a LLC, a limited liable company. So a free zone company is around $200,000 upwards. So the minimum injected capital is around $200,000. When it comes to an LLC, it is a priori $10,000. Again, depending on the sector. When I say depending on the sector, it means that usually it can be higher. It can be 30,000, 20,000, and for some specific sectors even higher than this. So the lowest capital to inject for an LLC would be $10,000 US. Another form, very popular, very often seen in Vietnam, is a Vietnam joint venture company, where usually the shareholder is at least one foreigner and one Vietnamese person. Very common form. Again, let me see my checklist if there's anything else that I should mention here to you. Yeah, again, there would be some government requirements for certain sectors, especially when it comes to agriculture and forestry, or to transportation services. Then we have the next form that I would like to speak to you is the public limited company, which of course you already can see that's much a bigger sized company. You would inject higher funds and it would already have a higher number of shareholders. So at least there should be 3 shareholders. Then other forms that you can also consider if you already have an existing business outside of Vietnam are the last 2 elements, a branch office. And here the requirement is that your company outside of Vietnam has already existed 5 years and done business 5 years outside. This form may not be relevant for you. It could be, just to give you an example, maybe a bank could open a branch office in Vietnam, like the Deutsche Bank or the HSBC or the Swiss Bank or the Credit Suisse. Yeah? For them, branch office, that could be interesting. For you, if you have already an existing company overseas, outside of Vietnam, you can also consider about a rep office, a representative office. But that would mean that you cannot generate sales. You cannot generate sales revenue here. A rep office is really here to represent your company overseas, and you can be here to do some market research, some market understanding, market study, and you can do some promotional services for the mother company. But the invoice would have been to be sent by the foreign entity. So these are a little bit the types of companies that you can open here. Most likely for you, an LLC would be the most appropriate if you are a small or medium-sized entrepreneur. Unless you're in manufacturing and you go to a Vietnam Free Zone company, or you partner up with a Vietnamese person and create a joint venture company. All right, anything else important to say? Maybe let's go to the steps of incorporation. So once you have chosen which form of company you would like to incorporate, then you have to do the following things. First, you may already have a name or you decide on a name, so then reserve that name and also check it with your lawyer. It's a small detail, so don't worry about this. The lawyer still has to check it back with the registrar if that name is already given or not, and he has also to check it in English and in Vietnamese. That's small details, but your lawyer will be familiar with laws, regulations, circulars, and decisions, so that partner can also look for you on the different regulation that is out there. Once your name is okay and confirmed, approved, and you reserve it, then get the license. I spoke about this already in another video. In principle, you need to get a FIC, Foreign Investment Certificate, or people usually call it your company license, your investment license. So get this license. When you have this license, open the bank account. I also explained in the other video why you need the bank account. I repeat it here again. You need a bank account in principle because they request you to send the money overseas into Vietnam on your corporate bank account. And I mentioned earlier, the minimum injected capital for an LLC would be $10,000 US, depending on sectors. It can gradually go upwards. Once you have your bank account, get your corporate seal, yes, your stamp, corporate seal, a corporate stamp. When you have this, get also your invoice book, VAT invoice book. Remember, I told you that Vietnam is the country of the red invoice. Yeah, so you need a book which holds the papers, and one of the slip is the red invoice that you have to give for your buyer or purchaser. And when I say go and get those documents, of course, you have to pay for it. There's a fee for it, so you pay for the seal, you pay for the red invoice book, you get it. The red invoice book also has a number that tracks back with the tax authorities. Once you have done this, and once your company runs, do all the tax payments, have a CPA, have an accountant, do the monthly or quarterly tax payments, at the year end do an annual tax filing, pay them, and then you also have to submit an annual audited financial statement. Foreigners, because you are a foreigner, you have a foreign invested company, you will have to submit those things. I just want to share you so you visibly can see how that would look like. Let me take the document. So here is for a small, nice small medium-sized company. It's very simple, a few pages that you have for the annual declaration at the end of the year. I let you compare this with what I have for the USA, also my small company here. It says it's a government copy, so it's in principle nothing too much different. The CPA, the tax accountant, will know how to do and will submit it correctly. And then you have your yearly closing. Once you have paid the taxes, then you can also transfer money back home if that's what you want to do.